Okay, YouTube, Price and Mall here for part 3 on the Coober exhaust ECU and the install of the wiring harness. I've actually, last night I was actually rethinking the wiring a little bit because there were two plugs that I could not find where to connect, and I knew that there was absolutely no connectors that were going to be loose or missing or disconnected or just not plugged in to something. So all the connectors on the wiring harness were going to be connected to something, and I had three of them actually that were not connecting to anything. So I'm glad I stopped yesterday, and I just wanted to show real quick the pre-prep that you should do before laying the wiring out. That way you don't end up with bottlenecks. I certainly would not advise to put tie wraps first. I would just leave the harness without any tie wraps first, and then once you decide which way is going to be routed, then at that point go ahead and tie wrap it if you want. Okay, so this connector here, like I said, this is for a ground. This is the only cable that's actually not connecting to anything other than a ground. I'm still debating whether I want to plug it into the battery, okay, which sits up here, and just plug it in directly to the negative terminal, or if I should just go to the earth ground, which I would think because they have this cable, earth ground should be okay. It doesn't have to be directly connected to the battery. So I'm still debating on that one. So I'm going to leave that one alone for now. Most likely at the end I'll show where exactly I put it at. But for the main course here, okay, what I did is that I actually routed all of the cables from the bundle like this right here, okay, and I routed it under the battery box or holder here, and you can see the ECU connector here. Okay, that's where the Coober ECU goes connected. Okay, so I'm thinking it's gonna be here somewhere. I think I saw a video where someone had it on a different bike. They didn't do as extensive of a job taking everything out and showing it, but they did show how they routed some of these things. I don't remember if they even did it this way, but they did point it out that when you put this here, which is part of the body of everything that holds this together, and here's the where that lid goes. Okay, that's why I took this out. It's just four bolts that basically take it out, and then just take this out. So if I'm not mistaken, the person just put the ECU like right in here. Okay, I don't know if they trimmed this piece of plastic and put it there or what, but I know for sure that the tank goes over this, so there's really not a lot of space to put that ECU. You could forget putting it there because it's not going to fit. So I thought of that, maybe taking the cable back there or whatever. Still not long enough for the harness, regardless. And this seems to be somewhere where the area for the ECU where it's going to go. Anyway, so I'll figure that out in a little while. But this right here is really what I wanted to point out. All of these cables are on this side of the bike, okay? So you could see them. One is here. This here is the O2 sensor, which goes connected directly to the wiring harness from the factory, so you don't have to bother with that. So you have these two here. These two here go connected together, but you have to unplug them to basically tie them to the ECU, to the Coober ECU. Okay, so you will have to connect one to that plug, and then this one, you see how they're colored blue, so those two will go there. Okay, and then you have these two here. Okay, this goes under the tank, but these two here go connected to another set of wires that's also here. I cannot see them right now, but they're also in here. Okay, So as you can see, I went around, and the reason why I did this is because this cable, which is also part of the harness for the Coober, goes to the throttle position sensor. That was one of the connectors that I could not find where to connect, okay, because I didn't know what that connector was for. This one here, okay, which basically is that one, and splits into two, okay, because one goes connected directly to the throttle position sensor, okay, and I couldn't see it because it was covered by, it was on the throttle position sensor, but it had this cover on top, so I couldn't see the connector, okay, and it was getting late last night, so I couldn't see it. So, but anyways, the throttle position sensor is here, as you can see. It's on the side, okay. So to remove it, all you have to do, and you could see the tab in there, you have to press it, because it's actually, the tab is on the other side, it's on the inside of the bike, okay. So you'll have to put your hand around here, press the connector, so you will be pressing that tab, this tab here, okay. You'll press it in, and then with a flathead screwdriver, okay, you will put it right underneath or right behind it. Here, let me see if I can just show. Okay, right there, okay, and then you'll actually use the frame to pry it out. You have to be very careful that you don't bust out this connector, okay. So you really have to be certain that that tab is fully pressed, and you will actually be able to see it, to actually feel it, okay. Even on top of this rubber, I would think you should be able to feel that you're pressing it, okay. And may actually be better. I did it without it. I moved this thing back and then put my finger there from behind and then press it and pried it out with a screwdriver. And you can tell because it comes out super easy, okay, especially if the connector is clean like that, brand new. I mean, like, this bike is brand new. So at that point you could connect the side that goes to it. You see how those two look? These two look the same, okay. So this one will go here, and then this one here goes into the throttle position, okay. So it was actually the other way around. It moved. So this one here goes here, and then the one that's the big connector like that, okay, goes into the throttle position sensor, which is there. So that's why you need this cable be routed around like that. Now that's pretty simple. The only one that's left, which was the other one, the second one that I have trouble finding, it's this one, okay, this one here. This is also part of the Coober ECU wiring harness, and you see how it's very short, okay. The reason why it's very short is because that is the part that goes connected to the coil, okay. And you could find the coil by following just the spark plug wire into the coil, which is right there, okay. It's right here. Now the only trouble you may find is that for that particular connector, considering it is in the front of the coil, and super hard to get the camera back there, but you get my drift. Basically, you will have to take this right here, this screw out, to move this part of the fairing, and then pull on this part of the fairing by undoing that. So you don't have to move it a lot. Basically, just take it out of the retaining tab right there, and you put it just like that and leave it like that. Don't try to force this fairing, okay. Just flexes enough to where you could actually do that, okay. And then you'll be able to fish this cable through. In here goes the one that gets unplugged, and then here, this one is the one that goes plugged into the coil, okay. Now you could see, let me see if I could just, because I already took it out, okay, you see it there. I already unplugged the coil, so this one goes into this one, and then this one, I mean, it goes into this one, and then the other one goes in the other one, okay, into the coil. Okay, so those are the only two I couldn't find, and I finally found them. The coil was actually somewhat of a challenge to take out because it's back here, and I also used the flathead screwdriver. This is a pretty long flathead screwdriver, as you can see. This is probably a good 8 inches right here, 8, something like that. And you should be able to put the flathead, which is, this one is pretty thin. It's like a number 1, I think. Right behind the connector. Okay. Should be able to put it right behind the connector. Okay. And then press it. Okay. So you basically press the screwdriver inside the connector, and it will actually push it down, and then you pull on the cable a little bit. Just be sure that it's really where it needs to be before you pull, and you don't break the connector or the cable or the coil or whatever. So at that point, you're basically done with the prep for the wiring and get it all connected to be able to do what you need to do. And then at that point, the tank doesn't use any of these points. It uses this one to actually hold itself, and then all these other things connect, and everything here will be clean. It will actually look pretty clean after this is done. I mean, I'm just gonna go around like that, and nothing is gonna be on the way. So at that point, you could say that you're pretty much done plugging in the wiring harness. And then the last thing would be that one cable, the grounding cable, which at the end, I think I saw the guy put it there on a video. So he just connected it there, which is fine with me. Okay, I don't like stuff plugged into the battery anyway. So with that said, I'm actually going to continue, and I'm going to get this done today. There's no way I'm going to leave it for another day, considering it's going to rain for the next couple of days, and I want to get this done to not just hear it, but just to finish the video. And I don't want to keep you guys waiting on this one, okay? So other than that, I'm going to stop the video, and I'm going to continue with this. I'm actually going to install the lid. Since I got this out already, it's just these screws here, which use the number 4 Allen. So everything that's going to be done. The filter for now is going to stay the same. I'm going to put this back and see if I can retrofit the ECU in there, like I said, with the connector, or just figure something out, maybe back here under the seat. I don't know, but when I get there, I'll fight that battle and keep going. Okay, thank you guys. Okay, YouTube, so so far I've been able to install the top lid for the air filter. I was able to route the cables, which you can hardly see anymore, because now it's basically almost undistinguishable, other than the fact that the ECU, the Coober ECU wiring harness just looks like this. So I try to give it a little bit of flex. There is a portion of the wiring harness that's a little short, and there's not really a good way to route the cable. Okay, and it's down here. This is the one that goes to this portion here. It's the one that goes to, you see how it divides in two? This one goes to the fuel injector, which is the gray plug right here. Is this cable here. Okay, is that connector there, and you could see it splits from the wiring harness, you see, and then the other part goes into this one, which is the one that was connected to the throttle body. Okay, so that connector there and that one, you almost have to maneuver the cabling properly, that way it doesn't kink or gets stressed, especially in front of the coil, like right in here. What I did is that I actually put it there. There's just a little bit of a curvature, maybe half an inch, that you could basically bend the cable from the wiring harness from the Coober ECU. And what I did is that I put a tie wrap to hold it tight against here, so you could see right there. There's a tie wrap, and then there's the cable that goes into the coil, and then the other cable, it's here, the one here. Okay, so that's the one that comes from the actual ECU that connects to the wiring harness on the bike itself. Okay, to the wiring harness on the bike. So I try to keep it as clean as possible. Some of you may have a different way of doing it. The one for the throttle position, which is back here and behind this bundle of cables here, it's there. This one is the one from the Coober ECU, and then the other one, it's back here. You see it here. So you relocate it from here to here, and then the Coober ECU cable goes plugged into it, and then the other part goes plugged into here. The only thing that I don't like is the fact that the Coober ECU doesn't have a rubber sleeve like this one. I guess I could have removed that one, but I didn't. I think this connector may be waterproof, but I couldn't tell. Okay, so I would think that a sleeve would be more appropriate. Eventually I'm probably gonna put some hot glue here just to keep it tight in there, even though it just clicked perfectly. I mean, the connectors are the same as the opposite that need to go in there. So all these connectors, none of them had issues. They all seemed perfect. They all clicked the way they should have. None of them were loose. I mean, they were like really, really good. So you could see that this cable, the cable for the throttle position sensor is here, is the thin cable here. Is this one here. Okay, and it goes around, and I made it like an S-shaped type of thing. This actually goes like that, if I remember correctly, and then you have this hose, and then you have just take this out, then you have this hose here. These two go plugged into the back of the tank. So I had to plug those in first, then do the fuel lines, which they just click in place. Hopefully they don't leak, which is one of the things that I'm afraid of, especially with those types of fittings. They do tend to leak over time. This is a new bike, so I know I didn't force them out, but we'll see. Hopefully they're not going to leak. Okay, and if they leak, everybody will know, and I will definitely smell the gas. Okay, and that would not be fun, considering I would have to buy the whole assembly that plugs into the hose assembly that goes connected to the fuel pump that's under the tank. So that would not be fun. God knows how much that would cost. But anyways, let's not cross that bridge yet. I'm not sure I'll even ever have to cross it, at least not now. But anyways, this one here is still the ground cable, which I still have enough length to put it where I said I was going to put it on this side. I think I'm going to end up putting it with the battery negative terminal, which will sit right here, right up here somewhere. The battery actually is the last thing I'm going to install, or one of the last things. So this thing is basically done as far as I can go. So I'm just going to start tightening it up. Before I start assembling the entire bike, I'm actually going to get it started, not only to hear it, but I want to be sure that the ECU, the Coober ECU, is working properly and is going to calibrate. In order to do that, I had to leave the bike running for about 15 minutes, which will warm it up. So I want to be certain that I do all of the things I can, like putting that in here. I mean, like, I want to be sure that all of these things are where they need to be and clicked in place, and that way I don't get burned if I have to move something around. But anyways, I'm going to stop the video again, and and go from there. Okay, thank you guys.